Hare Krishna. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. Never miss any updates.
नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita course. Today we are going to discuss the 17th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the divisions of faith. This is the chapter name. In the previous chapters, especially 16th chapter, Krishna clearly establishes who are divine and who are demoniac. Here follows Shastras like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Vedas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, okay, or any Vedic literature. They are considered to be divine. And who doesn't follow, who doesn't have faith on these scriptures are demoniac. So who have faith on Vedic literature are divine. Who doesn't have faith on Vedic literature, they are demoniac. Okay. And also Krishna says in the previous chapters, so one who has faith in Krishna, he will attain knowledge, he will attain peace and prosperity eventually. Okay. So that's what Krishna establishes. So in this chapter, Arjuna asks an interesting question. That is, what happens to the people who have faith but not as per Shastric injunctions? So what happened to their faith? So to this question, Krishna answers, the faith in three divisions. The divisions are mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, sattva, raja and tamo gunas. So people with different levels of faith, Krishna explains. And along with that, Krishna also explains the food in three modes of material nature, the austerity, sacrifice, charity, yajna, dana, tapa. Also Krishna explains. So finally Krishna says in this chapter that whoever have faith but not as per Shastric injunctions, that is a blind faith and they never attain perfection stage for sure. But if those people come in touch with the pure spiritual master who is in the disciple succession, a bona fide spiritual master, then by his grace, if he follows the rules and regulations of the Vedic literature, then he will attain love of Godhead. His faith turns to love of Godhead for sure, provided if he comes in touch with a bona fide spiritual master. This is what Krishna says in this chapter. So coming to section 1, verses 1 to 7. So this explains the faith in three modes of material nature. As I said, Arjuna asked a question. Previously, Krishna tells two categories of people who have faith and who doesn't have faith. Who have faith in scriptures and who doesn't have faith in scriptures. Okay, faithless people. And Arjuna is asking about third category of person who have faith but not as per Vedic injunctions. He follows his own way of doing the rituals. He considers somebody else as God other than what are actual God. For example, you see some people in the society who worship film stars, politicians, and they consider some Swamiji as God and they worship them. There are temples for Rajinikanth, temples for KCR, and some heroines also temples they have, and some freedom fighters also have temples. In Hyderabad nearby on the outskirts, there is one temple for Mahatma Gandhi. Okay, they do puja also in that temple. So like this, various people establishes temples, who are not actually God, just normal personalities only, and they worship them with faith. This is not as per Vedic injunctions. And some Swami tells he is God, and people believe, and they worship him as God, as Krishna, as Rama. Okay, like this they worship. So to this category of third category, Arjuna is asking what happened to them, what happens to them. Okay, actually this question to tell in detail, Arjuna is asking what is his position, whether he is situated in Sattva-guna, Rajoguna or Tamoguna. Okay, and does this kind of people attain perfection stage of life? Does they attain real knowledge? Does the Shastras accept this kind of faith? So this is exactly what Arjuna's question is. So to this Krishna explains first of all faith in three modes of material nature. According to three modes of material nature, the three kinds of faith is there: faith in mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. So people who worship God, people who worship devatas, so that worship is in Sattva-guna worship. So that is a mode of goodness. So who are devatas? Devatas means Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Surya, Chandra. So like this, we have 33 crore devatas are there. So these are in English the term is demigods. Okay, but God is only one. Devatas can be many. Okay, so any of the devatas, Grama devatas they worship. Okay, so all this kind of worship comes under Sattva-guna worship. Then worship in the mode of passion. So people worship demons. Demons means, some people consider, one person as God, and then they worship them. So this kind of worship comes under Rajoguna worship. For suppose some people worship politicians. In Prabhupada says in World War II, during the World War II, in Calcutta, one person used to worship Hitler. Why? So because of World War II, because of black money exchange, he earned crores of rupees. So he considers Hitler as God and he worships Hitler, it seems. So this kind of worships comes under Rajoguna worship. People who worship film stars and then politicians, any kind of worship, this comes under Rajoguna worship. Swami is also, if they consider them as God in worship, that is Rajoguna worship only. Of course, Guru worship is there in Shastras. They worship Guru as servant of God, not God. Okay, so nobody is God. Only God is God. No living entity can become God. So this is how the worship has to happen. Then that is Sattva-guna only. Worship of Guru also comes under Sattva-guna, provided they worship as servant of God. But they worship as God, then that comes under Rajoguna worship, because that's not truth. And then ignorance, worship in the mode of ignorance. So these people worship ghosts and spirits. You see in some villages and forests, some people go in the night and worship, ghosts and spirits in smashanas, okay, graveyards. So this kind of worship comes under Tamoguna worship. If they worship ghosts and spirits, they take birth as ghosts and spirits. Krishna says in previous chapter. And whoever worship demons, in the next life they become demons. Okay, so we should be careful in worshipping, whom we are worshipping. Suddenly we cannot take any person as God in worship. His name should be mentioned in Shastras. Then only considered as Devata or Bhagavan. Okay, otherwise they cannot be accepted as God just like that. Next, coming to section number 2. This is from verses 7 to 10. So here, very interestingly, Krishna explains about food in three modes of material nature. This is very practical, and then we can immediately implement in our life also. Okay, what is that Krishna says? Ayusattva Bhalarogya Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha. That means food also can be categorized in Sattva, Rajo and Tamo gunas. So Sattva guna food, the characteristics are Rasya, Srigdha, Stira, Hrudya. 4 characteristics are mentioned by Krishna. Sattva guna foods. What is the first is they are juicy, Rasyaha, and then fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to heart. If you eat this kind of food, you will feel pleasing to heart. That's called Sattva guna food. So exactly what are those kind of foods? Any vegetables, fruits, milk, and then any leafy vegetables, all this comes under Sattva guna food. So what is the benefit of eating this kind of Sattva guna food? And Krishna explains in 6 words. Ayus Sattva Balarogya Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha. Okay. The first thing is Ayuhu. Duration of life will increase by eating Sattva guna food. This has been scientifically proven by scientists also. You can find this research if you search on internet. So by eating vegetarian food, increase our duration of life will happen. Then Sattva, that means it purifies our existence. Our mind, body, system will be purified by eating vegetarian food. Then Bala, Bala means strength. So one will attain great strength. Okay. Then Arogya, your health will be good. Then Sukha, you will attain happiness. You will feel happiness just by eating that food. And Priti, satisfaction will be there. So these are 6 benefits of eating Sattva guna foods. Then coming to Rajo guna foods. Katva, Amla, Lavan, Yushna. Okay. So what are the characteristics of these Rajo guna foods? They are too bitter, too sour, salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burning. Okay. So these kind of characteristic foods comes under Rajo guna foods. So for types are any food with high spicy content, high pepper, high salt, even onion, garlic also comes under Rajo guna. It was surprising, even though it is vegetable, only this onion, garlic comes under Rajo guna category. Okay. So for suppose if you eat more spice, obviously your dealings also will be like that only with others. You will be fighting, you will become angry very quickly. Okay. So this thing will happen because of eating Rajo guna foods. Too salty, too spicy, too pepper, onion, garlic also. Okay. So what are the results of this eating this kind of food? Distress, misery, anxieties, and diseases. Okay. So when you eat, you will behave like that. And then you will be having miseries. There will be anxieties because of that. There will be distress. And it leads to new diseases also by eating Rajo guna foods. That's why salt and spice should be little less in food. That is recommended. And then Tamo guna foods. So characteristics of this Tamo guna foods are tasteless, decomposed, putrid, and food consists of remnants and untouchable things. So this kind of foods comes under Tamo guna. What are those types? To be clear, non-veg foods comes under Tamo guna food. Okay. Because it is dead body of an animal. Okay. It is comes under Tamo guna food. And drinks, any alcohol drinks comes under Tamo guna food. Or any food stored in store for long time. It's a fashion to keep food in freezers for long time, and then after that we take. Okay. So when you store like that for long time, it comes under Tamo guna. Okay. And what is the results of eating this kind of food? They'll behave madly, they'll sleep more, they'll become lazy, procrastination, and lack of intelligence. Okay. Our intelligence will come down by eating Tamo guna foods. So this very clearly Krishna classifies food in 3 modes of material nature. And that's why you have to choose. If you want to be happy and knowledgeable, you need to eat Sattva guna food. If you want anxieties and then misery is in your life and you can nicely eat Rajoguna food. Or if you want to sleep more and become lazy, okay, then nicely you can eat Tamoguna food. So you can choose what kind of food you eat. That's why doctor says you are what you eat. Okay, if you want to be a good person, you want to be happy, and it depends on what kind of food you eat very directly. Coming to section number 3, there's some slokas 11 to 13. Okay, in the coming 3 sections, Krishna explains Yajna Dana Tapa. He classifies this Yajna Dana Tapa into 3 modes of material nature. So first is about Yajna. Yajna means sacrifice. So that sacrifice which are performed as per scriptures, and then they are performed as a matter of duty and selflessly without desiring any reward for it. If one performs yajna, okay, that comes under Sattva-guna yajna. And then passion, yajna, sacrifices in mode of passion. If anybody performs an yajna for the some material benefit, for the sake of pride, okay, so that comes under Rajoguna yajnas. You see some people perform yajnas, for their pride, for some power. They want to show themselves as spiritualists, and they had desire to attain some money, some power in the politics or in whatever field they are working. They perform some yajnas. So these yajnas comes under Rajoguna. And ignorance, Tamoguna yajnas. So these yajnas performed without regard for direction of scriptures, without distribution of prasadam, without chanting Vedic hymns, without remuneration to priests. That means some dana has to be given to brahmanas at the end of the yajna. So if that doesn't happen, without any faith, okay, if some sacrifice is performed, that comes under Tamoguna yajnas. Then coming to section 3, here Krishna is telling Tapa. Tapa means austerity, also called as Tapasya. Tapasya means generally we have a conception that one has to go to forest and perform some meditations there. That's called Tapasya. Okay, so that is one of the Tapasya. Tapasya doesn't mean alone only that. So Tapasya means taking the voluntarily, taking difficulty voluntarily for some good purpose. For suppose you see some activities are there. If you do those activities, they'll be good for you. For example, early to bed, early to rise is good for health. Okay. So early rising is a good benefit for our health, but that is difficult, right? So if you wake up early in the morning, you will be having good health as well as you will save a lot of time. There's a very precious time, that's called Brahma Muhurta. So if you do chanting of holy names and the mantra meditation or any kind of activities you do, your focus will be perfect. Best focus you can observe during that part of time. But what is happening now, most of the people sleep in that time nicely. They'll wake up at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, some people 12 o'clock also. Okay, so this is not tapasya. Waking up early is not tapasya. Like that, any good activity, voluntarily if you take difficulty, that's called tapasya. So Krishna, first of all, before classifying them into 3 modes of material nature, Krishna classifies as per body, speech and mind. So there are austerities at the level of body, there are austerities at the level of speech, there are austerities at the level of mind. Okay, so what are these austerities that we will see now? So worship of Supreme Lord, austerities that comes under body. Bodily austerities are, first one is worship of Supreme Lord, worship of Brahmanas, worship of spiritual master, worship of superiors like father and mother, and following cleanliness. Following cleanliness means it is 2 types, internal and external. Internal cleanliness by chanting the Vedic mantras, external by taking bath regularly. Some people get surprised if you tell them to take bath daily. Previously it used to be there in foreign only. Now it has come to India also. Okay. So we have to take bath daily at least once. If possible, daily twice is very good. Okay. And then simplicity. One has to live simply in his life. And then his thoughts also he should keep simple. Not craving for unnecessary things. Celibacy, practicing brahmacharya. Celibacy means practicing brahmacharya. And then non-violence, ahimsa. So all this kind of aspects comes under austerities at the body level. So here worship of spiritual master, brahmanas and father and mother is also mentioned here. That means they are worshipped as servants of Supreme Lord, never as God. That we should be clear about it. So then austerity at the level of speech. So speaking words that are truthful, always speaking truth, talking pleasingly to others, and then that which is beneficial to others, and not hesitating others, and reciting Vedic literature, Vedic mantras. So comes under austerities at the level of speech. Okay. So some people speak in such a way that it hesitates others, displeasing to others. Okay. They never speak truths also. Speaking lies is a very common thing currently in this Kali Yuga. Okay. So one has to practice austerity at the level of speech like this. Then austerity at the level of mind. What is that? Satisfaction. So feeling satisfaction in the life. Whatever comes on its own accord, we should consider the mercy of God and be satisfied. Unnecessarily, we should not, crave whatever thing we see on the road or whatever in the life. So we should be satisfied with whatever we get, on its own accord by the mercy of Lord. Then simplicity. So in the mind level also, we should practice simplicity. And then gravity. Gravity means we should avoid unnecessarily laughing or loose behavior. Okay. So devotee should be grave in his thoughts, in his mind. Then self-control. One has to practice control of the senses. And then purification of one's existence. How this is possible? By attaining knowledge. Okay. So then purification of one's existence will happen. So all this comes under austerities at the level of mind. So austerities at the level of body, speech and mind. So this kind of total austerities Krishna classifies into three modes of material nature again. So what is that? Goodness. Austerity is the mode of goodness. So they performed with transcendental faith by men not expecting material benefits but engaged only for the sake of the Supreme. Which means austerity is at the level of goodness, mode of goodness. So if one performs any tapasya with great faith, transcendental faith on God, without expecting any result out of it, only for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, then that kind of austerity is Sattvaguna tapasya. You see, rishis, they go to forest and engage in the tapasya for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. Okay, so that kind of tapasya comes under Sattvaguna tapasya and Rajoguna tapasya. So these kind of tapasyas performed out of pride for the sake of gaining respect, some material benefit. Okay, so if one performs tapasya, for gaining some material benefit or respect and pride, that comes under Rajoguna tapasya. You see some Rakshasas, they do tapasya to get some material benefits. Just like Hiranyakashipu performs severe tapasya to Lord Brahma to get a boon that he will not get killed by anybody under any circumstances. Okay, so that is to gain some power he is doing that. So that comes under Rajoguna tapasya. Some politicians also perform this kind of tapasyas. They do Nirahara Dikshas, okay, for some power, for some demands. So this comes under Rajoguna tapasyas. So it is neither stable nor permanent. It will not last for long, this kind of tapasyas. Then tapasyas in the mode of ignorance, Tamoguna tapasyas. performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy or injure others. So this kind of tapasyas comes under tamoguna tapasyas. For example, there is one story of Bhasmasura who performs tapasya to Lord Shiva. So when Lord Shiva doesn't appear, he cuts his body and offer in the yajna. Okay, this has self-torture so much. Okay, this kind of tapasyas comes under tamoguna tapasyas. Then coming to section 5, here Krishna classifies charity, dana, as per 3 modes of material nature. So people consider giving dana as a great activity. No doubt this is a great activity, but not all kinds of danas. See, our Vedic scriptures are so fine that it defines every activity at finest levels. People consider giving dana is a great thing, but it's not like that. It has some conditions. If you do like that, then that is the best of all danas. If not, it is medium. If still less, it is lower. Okay. So like that, very fine classifications you can see. This kind of wonderful knowledge you will not find anywhere, any religion also. Okay. So what is that dana? So dana in the mode of goodness, sattvaguna dana. We have one NGO by name Akshay Patra to feed children in government schools. So it's Prabhupada's order to feed people. So we started with the inspiration of Prabhupada's instructions. We started this Akshay Patra program in the year 2000. Now it has come to the level of feeding 18.5 lakh children, 18.5 lakh children every day in government schools. Okay, by which children are coming to schools, they are getting educated, otherwise they will be working somewhere, maintain their life and family. Okay, so because of food which was given, which we are giving at the schools, they are coming for schools, they are getting food and education also, which leads to development of country. Okay, so as of now, from past 20 years we are doing this program. It completed 300 crore meals up to now. So for this event, our Honorable Prime Minister of India, PM Narendra Modi has come. We conducted this event in Vrindavan, the birthplace of Lord Krishna. So when he came, he quoted this sloka. What is that sloka? Sattvaguna Dana sloka. Datavyam iti yaddanam diyate anupakarine deshe kalecha patrecha taddanam satvikam smrutam. So any dana which was given out of duty and then at proper time, at proper place, to a worthy person, without expectation in return. Okay, so that dana is sattvaguna dana. So just like that, if you give that, that will not be sattvaguna dana. So you should carefully see the things when you perform dana. So Krishna, Prabhupada clarifies very clearly that Brahmana dana is generally comes under sattvaguna dana. Brahmana, actually by definition, Brahmana is the one who always thinks of Lord and who works for the welfare of the society. Okay, so if you donate to that kind of person, then that comes under sattvaguna dana. So then rajoguna dana. So that dana which was performed with the expectation of some return or with the desire for fruitive results or in a grudging mood is said to be rajoguna dana. So some people are doing dana for something in return. They'll give 10 rupees, but they're expecting 100 rupees out of that group, whatever they're giving to. So this is called the rajoguna dana. People do dana for name and fame. They want their name. Everybody should praise them. Okay, this kind of danas comes under rajoguna dana. You see, most of the people do like this. And then tamoguna dana. What is tamoguna dana? The charity performed at impure place, improper time, to unworthy person, without any proper attention, respect. This kind of dana comes under tamoguna dana. Generally, the danas which was given at traffic signals to beggars, they are tamoguna danas, because we don't see whether they are really worthy of taking the dana. There's a big business. That beggars is a very big business. It runs into crores. So this comes under tamoguna dana. So we should learn to practice sattva-guna dana. That is the best of all danas. And then coming to final section number 6. So Krishna is telling here that whatever yajna dana tapa you perform, it should be performed for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord. Okay. So this is represented by the mantra Om Tat Sat. In the previous ages, rishis used to perform yajna dana tapa for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord, and they used to chant this mantra Om Tat Sat. In this Om represents to attain the Supreme. In the beginning they chant the mantra Om, which means to attain the Supreme. Tat, without desiring any result. Okay, they are selflessly doing this one. So that is represented by the word Tat. And Sat indicate the absolute truth. That this yajna dana tapa is meant for his satisfaction alone. So this is the goal of any yajna dana tapa we perform. So these things should be meant for the satisfaction of Supreme Lord alone, not for our pride, not for name and fame, not for expecting something written. Okay, so these things have to be avoided. Then that is the best. They are in the mode of sattva-guna. So that's how Krishna explains very clearly in this chapter that yajna dana tapa, food, and then faith. So then here clearly to answer Arjuna's question, Krishna clearly says that whoever people worships their own gods, which are not mentioned in the Vedic literature, and according to their own rules and regulations, it is blind faith. It is not a proper faith, it's a blind faith, and they can never attain perfection. Yassasridam vutrujya vartate kamakarataha nasa siddhim avapnoti nasukam na param gatim. Whoever on their own, at their own whims, do worship to imaginary personalities, consider them as God. So all this kind of activity doesn't yield any result. They cannot attain perfection. Nasa siddhim, na sukham, they cannot attain happiness. Na param gatim, that means they cannot go back to Godhead. So these things have to be avoided. If that person comes in touch with a bona fide spiritual master, if he follows the rules and regulations, then his wrong faith turns to the love of God. He can attain perfection only when he accepts a bona fide spiritual master and follows the rules and regulations given by that spiritual master. Okay, so that is the conclusion of this 17th chapter, the divisions of faith. Hare Krishna.